Hey everyone, this is Adam and welcome to the KreatureKid channel, and in this video we're going to be talking about building the Chestburster puppet for Corridor Crew. So the first Chestburster obviously was designed by H.R. Giger, the artist who created the look of Alien. And from that, we got Aliens, which was the Stan Winston company, right? Stan Winston doing like the cool James Cameron's versions of the Chestbursters. And then after Aliens, it was Alien 3, Alien 4, the AVP movies, and most recently, Alien Romulus. So Chestbursters have been done a million times. We're basically just recreating what's been done. So when Corridor came to us, they just wanted a funny Chestburster gag. So we started with the base sculpture of the original 79 Alien Chestburster, and then from there tweaking like what would look funny, like a bigger forehead, a smaller jaw, an overbite, an underbite, right? And then coming up with, you know, a couple options to show Corridor to see which one they're kind of vibing with. We should have done it so it looks like the Ninja Turtles alien knockoffs. Look at it. See?
Yeah, he had a little pot belly because he eats a lot of food because he's a chef.
Yeah.
But the boys at Corridor like V2 the most.
Yeah, he's a little bit more beluga whale looking.
Mm-hmm.
So when figuring out the molds to generate the skin part of the Chestburster, we just do a simple block mold. You have your female and your male fittings, so it just fits together nice and pretty. But you can see how the core just kind of locks into place, right? And then when you pour your silicone in, it'll just fill up the negative space, creating just a thin skin all the way around this thing, which is the same shape that our mech is being made out of. When you're spinning this thing around in ZBrush, where's the liquid silicone gonna get poured in? How is it gonna fill up? Where's bubbles gonna get trapped? Same.
Yeah, and we want these only
the
to
rubber.
be thick enough to fit into this negative space of the mold.
Yes, and you don't want to intersect
the
core here.
Now that we have our skin, now it's time for seaming and painting. Spackle the silicone on the seams, fan it out with a brush, and add your details back in. So with a nice seam job on silicone, you won't see a seam at all. And once the skin is fully seamed, then you're ready for paint. Now when painting silicone, you're using basically thinned down silicone tinted with oil paints. For this, we're doing just a wash, a little bit of airbrushing here and there, and then sealing it all with a clear coat of silicone so it's just super durable and tight, especially because this character is getting covered in goo and blood. You don't want to risk any of that paint coming off. Once the skin is fully painted, then we can move on to figuring out our mechanical insides. Talking with Corridor about what the shots were, already we were establishing that there needed to be more than one puppet. Obviously we had the Chestburster bursting out scene, and then there was the puppeted version of the Chestburster that needs to talk, move, and place a chef's hat on his head. You can't use like the mech talking puppet to be the burst scene. You don't want to risk something happening to that puppet. So one of my longtime friends and co-workers has been Dave Penikas, a genius mechanic who's been in the industry since the 80s.
1984.
Good God.
I know, and we get this done early enough. I go to the early bird special at Penny's.
So what we did is we went to Dave to talk to him about kind of design a quick version of the inner workings of a Chestburster, and then him just giving us the assets digitally so we can kind of build it here in the shop. Now the skin thickness of the puppet is the same exact core that we use to design the mechanisms inside of, right? It's the same exact shape. We know it fits perfectly inside the skin. So those are our limitations of working within the puppet.
It is exactly like a tentacle mech with just a mouth and some other motions attached to it if the arms are moving, you know, but it is a basic tentacle mechanism.
This guy is just pulling these wires really tight and they're run through and tied off on the head, so just that tension is able to move them around. So we've just got 4 of those, so it can go left, right, up, down.
So with our mechanical components lined up, we had our digital model of our Chestburster split into parts. channels for the cables to run through.
Dave made all these really small holes in here. Don't fit, Dave. I gotta make them bigger. Gotta drill all these holes out.
Assemble it. And make a version that's puppetable, that can pivot up, down, left, right.
What is this? Oh, this is your soldering? Yeah. Interesting. I think it would probably retension it a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's, the
But
tension's
this
just a
one's
little
loose.
off. It's a little like burp, burp, burp,
Yeah,
burp.
it's a little mechanical.
And have a servo-driven mouth that moves.
That's gonna be a servo John. I'm assuming what Dave is doing is he's gonna be doing what's called servo blocking, and that means that the servo's not gonna be in the head at all. It's gonna be attached to a cable that will run out the back, and we'll just have a whole bushel of cables running out.
Close is down, open is up.
Once we have the inner mechanical components working, and we have our painted skin, now it's time to start dressing it. Fitting the skin onto the mech, right? It fits perfect. Doesn't even need any glue, because it's literally like a little sock over the mechanism. And then one of the things that this chestburster had to do, he had to pop out and he had to put on a tiny little chef's hat. So with that, like obviously there was no time to do any kind of mech arm. It had to be just a rod removal shot.
Because when he comes out, they're usually like just, trying to get out of the sack. That was another thing on Romulus. They had the sack over them that he had to try to break out of, but the arms were like this big, trying to push on a tight silicone sack.
So what we did is we fabricated a little chef's hat, and we embedded a magnet in the top of it, and then we had a bigger magnet embedded into the mechanical core head, and then the alien's arm had a magnet in his hands, so that the hat snaps to the magnet on the head because it's stronger, and then the little magnets just separate right away. And with a little bit of practice and rehearsal, it did seem to work pretty well. And his little arms were attached with a little bit of rope and then silpoxied into place.
So I got this one in there, and we have to pull it through and just get tight. And he still has some rotation of the arm.
For the most part, we kept his arms just kind of dangling around just because it was kind of funny. And then there's the little tiny mustache. The mustache we did a couple variations of. What we ended up doing is just 3D printing a little relief molds of the mustache and then running Task 14 inside of there, which is basically just like a pitch black flexible resin from Smooth On. We cast it with some wires inside, and then you just jam the wires into the silicone, a little bit of silpoxy, and then you got a little tweedly mustache. His teeth were just resin printed out of tough resin, silpoxied into place in his little mouth. And for the chest wound, we just did a quick little zebra sculpt, made a little mold that's just like a little flat plate, and then just ran it out of tinted silicone that was red and flesh. And then we have like a little chest flap we can cut open and just fit onto the chest plate, so that when you see through the shirt, you just see like the open wound kind of going on that the alien's coming out of. And then the puppet's ready for performing. We did a final movement test. You got the chestburster swinging around all over the place. You got his little mouth talking. The hat placement thing worked really well. Me and Dave Penikas got to be on set for the day, pouring blood everywhere.
It's like Kool-Aid mix. An ounce, huh? What do you think, like that? I might have added too much powder there, Dave.
Turning into a gel.
Is it turning into jelly?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Oh, my goodness. Right? Actually pretty close to yours. Yeah, there you go. Look to the right, look to the left.
So if you haven't seen the video yet, please go check it out on the Quarter Crew channel. I think it came out awesome. I'm super proud of this thing. And we got to work with one of the legendary guys who brought the Chestbursters to life on screen throughout all the years. It was an awesome opportunity. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and leave any questions down below.